Once again, we travel to the realm of Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Hello everybody, my name is Fun, and I welcome you all back to the next character I'm talking about, my series of Newcomer ideas for the upcoming game, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. As we left off with character number 77, the Solaire of Astora, Praise the Sun! I talked about that character number 78. We're going to be jumping back and doing the third character of the four main characters of Fire Emblem Three Houses. I've already talked about Edelgard von Heischenberg, or however the heck you pronounce her name. We already talked about Byleth. Now we're talking about the third character. We're going to be talking about Dimitri. And on the next episode of Sniping is Fun Tries to Pronounce a Name, I am going to try to pronounce Dimitri's full name, which is not, as hard as, Edelgard's name, because Edelgard von Haschenberg, I'm sure I butchered that name so bad. It's like very German something-esque name somewhere over in Europe. Someone over there is going to be like, no, he's pronounced it like this! But okay, Dimitri's full name is Dimitri Alexander Bladud, or Alexander Bladud, or Alexandre Bladado. I don't know. Whatever. Dimitri Alexander Bladud, or as I'm going to call him in this video, Dimitri. Okay, the third character of the four main characters of the upcoming Fire Emblem Three Houses on the Nintendo Switch next year. And as always, three separate categories. Why does the character make sense for Smash Bros? Pretty much. Sorry. Moveset Ideas and percentage chance I could actually see him getting in. So why, if we get a Fire Emblem 3, first and foremost, why does Fire Emblem Three Houses deserve a representative at all? And why should it be, say, Dimitri over Edelgard or Byleth? Here it is. So let's start with Fire Emblem Three Houses. It represents the new game. It is the new game. It is the biggest advertisement that Nintendo and Intelligent Systems can do for this game. And we've seen it happen before. They add Roy and Melee because of advertising Fire Emblem 6. Like the Corrin, which was the newest Fire Emblem at the time, was added as DLC. And, Smash Bros. 4, because Fates was the newest game at the time that was released during this development. Obviously, they focused a lot more on awakening the base roster, but then Fates got represented as DLC. It's the next big game. It's the return to home consoles. It's big marketing strategy. That's basically what Smash Bros. Is about, really. It's about marketing. It's about advertising. Not the entirety of it, but a lot of characters get added in because it markets something. It advertises something, Nintendo or third parties. So Fire Emblem Three Houses deserves to be represented in the game, whether the base roster, which is not very likely, or as DLC. It should be the Fire Emblem character as DLC. That game in Fire Emblem 16, Three Houses, because the big marketing strategy for Intelligent Systems and for Nintendo, it's the biggest news game coming out. It's being hyped up a lot, and especially when it gets closer, when we see more trailers. And Fire Emblem 16, return to home consoles. It's going to be the same boat as Corrin and Roy, and it should get a character. Him specifically, he's one of the main characters. He's not the most likely one, but I think if they wanted to go an off-the-wall chance and not pick the major protagonist avatar character like Byleth, or the one a lot of people are talking about from the other three main characters, the other four, Edelgard, I think Dimitri is the likely choice, because people are looking at the weapons they use, and I know a lot of sword haters are like, oh, I want Edelgard for the axe and Dimitri for the sword and the archer stuff of Claude and stuff like that. And I think there's more people gravitating to the other characters than other than Byleth. We have not seen too much of interesting stuff from him/her if it is a Robin Corrin situation, which we don't know yet. But he stands out because he's one of the main characters. All four of them are main characters. For those people that say, oh, Byleth's a straight main character, Nintendo's website says all four of them are the main characters, just like in Fates. Like, it wasn't just Corrin, it was Azura and Ryoma and Xander and whatnot. Chrom, Robin, Lucina, Hector, Eli Wood and Lynn, Erika and Ephraim. Other characters, multiple Fire Emblem games have had multiple main characters, and he's one of the major four of this one. So he still stands the chance to get in Smash Bros. Alongside his other three partners in that game. So it's like this. The game specifically itself should be represented because it's the newest, biggest Fire Emblem game, and we've seen that happen in every single Smash Bros. It's just commonplace now, DLC or otherwise. Him specifically, he stands out because of his weapon type. We don't have a Lance user yet in Smash Bros. And he does have people hyping him up, not as much as Byleth and Edelgard, but he's more pushed than people push Claude. And quite frankly, he's probably going to be a major character in the game. If he's one of the major four characters, he's going to be a major part of the plot. So I think he's diverse enough to pretty much be a possible choice for Smash Bros. Moveset Ideas. He is a lance user. He wields a lance. We don't see that in the series yet. I came up with a fairly decent moveset that focuses a lot on lances, but throws a couple little other things into his moveset to kind of have him be a little bit diverse. Just like how I threw a lot of stuff into Byleth to represent the whole series and him being a teacher and an instructor, and threw Edelgard her sword for some stuff, magic on top of the axe. So I threw a couple things onto him. We only know about him as Lance. We know stuff about the instructor class for Byleth, and that Edelgard could also use swords and magic. We really don't know much else for Claude or Dimitri here, so I had to do a little bit of being original, making it my own. So his smash attacks are all going to be lance-based. He's going to be able to pierce you with it, jab you with it. He'll slash downwards, he'll slash upwards, he'll slash sideways and ups and diagonal directions and whatnot. However a fighter that wields a lance, a spear, can wield a lance or spear is how he's going to wield a lance or spear. So that's going to be all the smash attacks. He's going to jump upwards and he could jump up in the air, and one of the smash attacks he comes down and does a stab to the ground to the opponent, a downward strike, or either a downward jab or a downward strike. Or when he's on the ground or crouching, he could be like, dee, 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 yeah, it's a lance. So basically the lance is going to be the major part of his smash attacks. His special attacks, I'm going to give him a few other little weapons to kind of give him some sort of distance stuff, being able to have some sort of range, besides like obviously the fact that a lance user, he'll be able to swing it, and his range will probably be almost as long as the vampire killer for Simon Belmont. He'll probably be able to attack you from about here just by standing without throwing any ranged weapons. But I want to give him a little bit of ranged weapons in terms of his attacks. He's going to have throwable axes and daggers. He has to have something to attack from a distance, because if he's up close, like usually the lance users in the Fire Emblem games do have the access to other weapons. We don't really know much about him yet, because all we know about these characters is the trailer from E3. So I have to be a little, creative to come up with something. So we can throw little axes. It won't be like Simon Belmont's. It'll be like smaller axes. And he can throw little daggers, little knives, like a thief kind of thing. So he has some sort of ranged weapon that he can attack with, besides just being able to throw his lance as long as the vampire killer from Simon Belmont. And he also could probably do little small knife swings, maybe like little knife or axe swings, just like a closer range type of thing. Because how I see the lance is it's going to be causing a lot of damage. He's not going to be super slow, but having that much weight in your hand, you don't really attack super quickly. Like a lance is not something that you can attack like a sword. So I don't see him as a slow character, but I don't see him as a fast character. He's kind of be kind of like medium range speed, but the lance is able to cover some distance and, quite frankly, be able to be swung and cause damage, but it's not going to be like him swinging around like a little mini sword weapon type dagger. It's going to be not slow, but not fast. So I want to be able to have him some sort of attack that he can do quick and to the point. It won't do as much damage as his lance, but it will cause you the ability to be able to do quick little damage, just walk away, and when the opponent's running up to you, lance! Yeah! So little axes or knives, he can just quickly attack someone up close. He can run up to him, attack him, and run away. Or he can throw daggers and axes and knives and whatnot. Just little things. And you can push back opponents. You could basically use the lance just to so you can get some distance between you and opponents. It's not an attack. It won't do damage, but it will cause your opponent to be knocked back in order to be able to give you some distance to be able to do your long range attack. So maybe you could knock an opponent back, they get whoa, and you're like, take this! And there'll be a decent distance that you could do your long range, jabs with your lance. And I kind of did some research on the likes of other lance users, especially Ephraim from Fire Emblem Sacred Stones. He can use fire lance attacks, and I do recall other characters in other games being able to use fire and elemental based strikes. So I know it's not something we know he can do specifically in the game yet, but I'm doing it as to represent the lance user in general in Fire Emblem. He can strike you, he could swing his lance and jab you with some fire elemental jabs. That'll be part of his special attacks too. So there you go. And now in terms of his final smash, I'm taking it right out from the E3 trailer. Or if you remember that part where he summons his soldiers forward and there's a big giant lance triangle attack to the opponents, yes, that's what I'm doing as his final smash. It's going to be called the Triangle The triangle form rush. He'll basically attack opponents with a spear, and it will enter a cutscene on the battlefield in the middle of this grassy plain. And he summons his lance soldiers to jump behind him. They form a little triangle with him right up here, and then his soldiers all there, and they just rush right forward and just smash you right off the stage. They run right through you, and it just sends you're like, no, the spears, the lances, no, knock off the stage. There you go. Dimitri, Alexander Bladud. That's basically how I do this moveset. Percentage chance I could see him actually getting in. It's going to be the same as I talked about for Elgard and for Byleth. 2 categories. Base roster and DLC. Base roster, I'm going to say about 10 to 20%. I'll just make it 20. It's very, very unlikely because I do think if we got one of these characters on the base roster, it's going to be Elgard or Byleth, and the same thing on DLC. That's just the thing. If they pick a character from the game, it's sad to say. And for DLC-wise, I'm giving them a 70%. So 20% base roster, 70% DLC, which if you recall my Elgard and Byleth videos, I gave them the same percentage each. I gave them 30% base roster and 95% DLC because it really is between Elgard and Byleth. One of them are going to be the definitive Fire Emblem Three Houses choices because it's the main character and the main and I'm sure Elgard's going to be probably the major of these 3 of Claude and Dimitri. I feel she is because she was pushed a lot in the trailer too. Just as much as Byleth, if not more. She was pushed more in the trailer. We only saw a little bit of Byleth. We saw a whole lot of her. But Dimitri, I know he's going to be an important character in the game, but I do feel if we got a Three Houses character, it's going to be either Elgard or Byleth. Whether on the base roster, if they throw him in last minute, or it's DLC, which is the most likely choice for a Three Houses character. So 20% base roster, which is less. I think actually it was 30 or 40%, but I think it was 30. Yeah, 30%, I believe. Let me make sure. Yeah, I think it was about 30%. I'll double check again. And 70% DLC, which I said 95%, because I think they're the likely choices. But if they want to go for it, and it is a possibility, they might knock Byleth and Elgard out, and they'll probably pick Dimitri. I don't know. It can go either way, really. So that's basically it for Dimitri Alexander Bladud from Fire Emblem Three Houses. Put in the comments guys if you guys like the idea of Dimitri, this Lance user, this new Fire Emblem Three Houses Lance user in the game, or should it be Elgard, or should it be Byleth, or should it be Claude? I do feel Three Houses is going to get represented at some point in time, more likely as DLC, and I would prefer Elgard, but it could be really any of them really at this point. But I think Dimitri would be cool because it'd be cool to see a Lance user, and he is the major key current day Lance user, and they normally go for newer games, so it's not like we're going to see Ephraim anytime soon. So Dimitri's probably the best choice at this point, people. So put in the comments, guys, think, do you guys like this Three Houses character? Is Dimitri cool, or do you want one of the other 3? My reasons make sense. Your reasons makes, what reasons would you have? Is my moveset good? What would you do to change it, or is it just want to keep it the same? Final Smash is 20% base roster, 70% DLC too high, too low? Just put it down there and discuss it, and we can have fun, and there we go. And that's it for 3 of the 4 Fire Emblem Three Houses characters. And eventually Claude's going to come up really, really shortly. I did push him ahead just a little bit so I can get the Three Houses characters knocked out of the way. But yeah, that's not the next character, though. That was it for character number 78. Next time, on character number 79, we are going to be talking about a character that is a variation on a character already in Smash Brothers, but it represents a spin-off to their series that I think would be cool to represent in Smash Brothers. And I think you can have a diverse enough moveset that they're not totally Echo-ish when I talk about Yarn Yoshi. See you all next time.